You know this, but what you just saw, no one else has seen yet. That was first time premiere of that clip. And maybe we should do another one. You guys want another clip? Awesome. Cool. Well, let me just introduce myself. My name is James Wallace. I am a film critic for the movie website GordonandTheWhale.com. We are your friendly neighborhood film connoisseurs. I just want to thank you guys for coming out to the 5th annual Texas Frightmare Weekend. We are in the glorious Movie Phone screening room, presented to you by Rue Morgue Magazine and Anchor Bay. I'm supposed to say Anchor Bay like a lot, so Anchor Bay, Anchor Bay, Anchor Bay, Anchor Bay, Anchor Bay. Yeah. So the reason that we are here today is to check out, like I said, the world premiere of a couple of clips, including a special teaser trailer to come later. So, without further ado, let's see another clip. She looked like a pitiful young fawn in that clip, but something tells me she's gonna get her revenge in this next one too. Not such a mystery. And the lady herself, Sarah Butler. How's it going, guys?
Good.
That was the first time you guys had seen that, correct? As well?
They saw a little bit of it during ADR sessions.
We have other mics. Just
Our mic's not. They saw a little bit of it during ADR sessions, recording additional dialogue, but not even that good a quality. And this was very low quality also, because it doesn't have. We just actually, before I arrived here yesterday, I had left, went straight to the airport from sound mix. We finished sound mix, and so that's not even the real audio. Obviously, the teeth make a lot more noise on the final mix there when they're coming out.
So, kind of just to kick it off, my first question is, you know, the original is so well known and so controversial for all the reasons that we all know. As a director, how do you find a balance with obviously paying homage to the original while still kind of taking it some new places?
Sure. I mean, there was a lot of focus on staying very true to the original. I mean, story-wise, character-wise, almost everything that happens, you know, even there's a lot of, you know, and you guys will all catch it when you see the film, there's parts of the film that we even duplicated certain things. Sarah duplicated certain things that Camille Keaton did. We duplicated certain shots and things like that. But, you know, we brought a much grittier feel to it, look and feel to it. So I didn't want it to feel like a movie. I wanted to make it feel like it was really happening. So that, you know, you could tell it's a lot of handheld work, a lot of long lenses, a lot of the camera being part of it, as opposed to, that's a big difference from the original where the camera just sat back on a lot of wide shots and let the movie play, where this is in there in the middle of everything. So that's, you know, that's about the extent of the difference, really.
Sarah, for you as an actress, I imagine it's a very hard balance to go from, you know, the kind of victim for the first part and just completely flip it and turn into this just, you know, vindictive badass in the second part. What's finding that balance like as an actress?
Well, it was difficult. Because for 2 weeks I was shooting the stuff that you saw in the first clip, and you know, I'd become really used to crying and being scared and being victimized, and then you know, all of a sudden one day I just had to switch over to be this monster, and it was, you know, it was a little scary. I actually felt like, wait, I'm used to being the victim now I have to switch. But I mean, I had to do what I had to do, you know, these guys screwed me up and I had to get him back. It was good to actually have shot that in the order that we did, which was pretty much chronological as far as the film goes. That really helped me because I actually had that past to refer to when I was getting my revenge.
Yeah. And I guess this question would be for you guys as well as you, Stephen. You know, in the original, it's such a debate whether it's glorifying or it's exploitation. In that sense, I guess as actors and as a director, how do you walk that very fine line of you know, saying something versus, you know, exploiting it?
Well, and this goes a little bit to what I just said before with the style that I wanted to bring to it is that's why I wanted it to feel real, because then you're not exploiting, you know. And that was, you know, my direction constantly to these guys was, you know, if there's any question, just make it be real. And they did it. I mean, everyone's completely believable, and you feel like this could happen, you know, and it does happen. I mean, you know, unfortunately, it just. So that was what was really important for me. As long as it was real, then we're not exploiting. So.
I agree. When you don't have an answer, just say Anchor Bay.
Anchor Bay.
Awesome. All right, so yeah, let's get out of here. I have a lovely assistant. My lovely assistant. Oh, no more lovely assistant. He's no Vanna White, ladies and gentlemen. All right, yes, sir, right here.
Because of the kind of characters you play in this movie, how, as actors, do you prepare for that? Because I know I've seen a lot of your other work, and these are dark characters. Like, how do you get in that mindset?
The question is, how do you prepare for playing characters with such a dark mindset?
I don't know. I'm kind of from the school of acting, just like Steven said, and it was perfect for me to just be real and just be in the moment. And with this kind of material, it's kind of an all or nothing proposition. You either like get in the boat and go for the ride, or you're not on board. And doing these kind of scenes with 5 people in the room and such a heightened. In such a heightened emotional state. The 4 guys, we often sort of form this group mob mentality, and I don't know. I feel really bad for saying it, but I think everybody has these, this darkness within us and this aggression, and like we totally had freedom to, sort of exercise those demons in front of a camera, and Steven allowed us to go to those dark spaces, and like as an actor, you just can't ask for more. I feel so twisted saying that like it was like my favorite acting job ever, but it was. Like I said in the beginning, it's got to be real or no one's going to buy it, and so just being able to let that anger out was pretty exciting. They didn't require a lot of preparation. I was already mad at my mother, so.
As a testament to Sarah and what a wonderful actress she is, she took it to a very real place. And it was difficult for us because our characters were enjoying it. So we were playing so many emotions at once. And there were moments where we would hold camera for, and Sarah would be crying or something, and it would be really awkward and dark. But then my character carries a video camera throughout the movie, and tapes the realization. So I had a flip cam off camera, so you could see the difference between scenes where we were filming something where Sarah's being brutalized, and then off camera everyone's just like all solemn and quiet, and I'd be getting like landscapes and things like that, to the part where she's killing us, and you see her like skipping in with coffee, like, "Hi guys, I'm gonna kick your ass today." Our emotions definitely, were balanced off of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was, the material is so intense that it wasn't like acting. We were just in this crazy sort of surreal, eerie world, and it made it really easy. It was hard, to conjure up, those emotions, but like, man, we were all tripping balls afterwards, man, to put it lightly. Anchor Bay.
One real quick thing. I think after every, Anchor Bay. After every day that we would shoot, it would literally be all of us, Sarah included, in the hot tub. Just like, oh my God, what happened? We were all bruised, we were all emotionally drained, we lost all our voices. It was extremely grueling.
It's actually, I just wanted to add this really quick, because this is a funny story, and it'll be a quick one. He was just talking about the hot tub, where when I first got there, I had asked all these guys, please don't start hanging out together yet and become buddies and shit like that, because the stuff you're going to have to do. The first night after the first day of shooting, I looked out my hotel room window, and they're all in the hot tub together with beers, smoking cigarettes, and I'm glad they're listening to their director now.
Cigarettes. Beer was necessary.
Next cue, we got some A's if you got a cue. Yes, sir.
What kind of equipment are you using? Is it little filmmaker myself, I was interested in the kind of camera equipment.
It was shot with the red camera.
Oh, the red.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was. Widescreen with the red camera.
Yes, sir.
Did you find it intimidating trying to live up to the original as far as the cult classicness of the original?
The question was, did you feel it intimidating to live up to the original?
Yes. Still is. You guys?
Yeah, especially after meeting a lot of you this weekend. Everyone here, there's a lot of people here that love the original and, they want to see it honored. And I want to personally assure you that I did everything that I could, and I know that we all put in our own little touches to pay homage to the original. Myra Zarki definitely has a big hand in our production, so you can rest assured that he has approved everything that you'll see in the movie. We're trying to give you guys what you want and still update it with our new edge and make it modern and keep everybody happy.
No, I was not. I really think that a point I want to make is that there's so many remakes in the horror world. Remaking a Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween or Friday the 13th, I think those are all really iconic films and difficult to pull off. And with all due respect to the original I Spit on Your Grave, I think it's rare in the horror world to have the opportunity to actually improve on the original. And I think, the original I Spit on Your Grave is very much of an era, and it's a real exploitation film. And Anchor Bay and Cinetel put this together, and when I read the script for the first time, I was totally blown away. The script was amazing. I haven't done a horror movie since Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, and this was the first one I read that really, really made me want to do it. So I was excited to be on board. I didn't even know it was a remake of I Spit on Your Grave, because the script I got was entitled Day of the Woman. And I told my neighbor the plot line, and he's like, "Are you sure it's not I Spit on Your Grave?" It turned out to be Anchor Bay.
I'm a huge exploitation fan. I love exploitation movies, and it was especially important to me that in order to do this project, that it would have to follow along the lines, and I was extremely relieved to meet people like Steven and these other amazing actors who had the same mindset as I did. So I felt really comfortable going into it, because in our first rehearsals and meetings and stuff, all the conversations were, how can we make this honor the original? Like, how can we bring things back to it? What ideas do you guys have? Like, and that type of thing. So hopefully you guys will notice the little nuances and stuff that we all put in.
And I think in this one, there's some depth to it, and some, characters are like, I don't know, there's performance. And so a realism in this one, I think that it's exciting. That's all I have. Thank you.
You guys seem to really care about the original. I think there's that period of 70s horror film that was leaning more towards ambiguous and letting you kind of pull the social consciousness out yourself. And nowadays, I think we're not afraid to be very, aware and self-aware and apparent in what we're saying with our horror films. So, talk about when you guys kind of each first saw the original, and maybe like one of your favorite scenes that really kind of captured and stuck with you when you went in to make this one.
I hate to say this, I was 16 years old in 1980 when I saw it. And my favorite scene is it's a toss-up, but I'm going to go with after the long rape scene, following her back through the woods to the cabin, and then by the time she does that, she gets all the way there and she's about to reach for the phone. The boot comes in. That for me was a great moment. And then second, backed up with Johnny's death in the bathtub.
Mine is also kind of depressing, but that's a big surprise, right?
Not a depressing moment.
Right. First 2 minutes aren't depressing. No, actually, the scene that stuck with me the most was just like the final assault on Jennifer out in the woods, and when they finally left her, she was laying on her stomach across a big boulder, and her hands were spread out, and her fingers were, it was like, I don't know, it was like she just passed out in the midst of like just giving everything she could to get away. And I don't know, it was just very artistic, I felt, and I really appreciate those little things, and there's a lot that Myra did in the original as far as that, so, you know, just that, and I used a lot of that in my character too, just those little things.
I watched it for the first time in my hotel room in Shreveport, and it was kind of shocking, because I was a huge horror fan back in the day, but I never saw it when it came out, and I think my favorite scene, I really love the building of tension in horror films. And I just really like the way he used the motorboat. Really grating and annoying.
Even the credits.
The motorboat, and just when he's just in the lake, you know, offshore, just going around in circles, it was like, I don't know, somehow creepy. And like that, the film is weird like that. It affects you in ways that don't seem like they would be affecting, you know? It's kind of like you had to be there kind of thing. Yeah, so that's me.
I too jumped when they kicked the phone. I jumped. And the part where the boat is going back and forth, I like that part. It was just so very subtle, and she's laying there in the hammock and the boat's just going. I like that. And then, you know, I guess the whole rape is very disturbing. I mean, it goes on and on and on. You're checking your mom, like, God, it's happening, keep happening. So that's a little disturbing, makes you sweat a little. Yeah.
It's always been on my radar to see this movie. I never caught it prior to my first audition. Besides, in my opinion, having the sickest title ever. Like, I think it's such an awesome title. I was like, I just want that title on my resume. I think when I finally did get a chance to watch it after my first meeting with Steven, I live in a house. People on either side of me couldn't hear anything that's going on in my house, but I had the movie on full blast, and I was like, holy shit, I gotta lower this. Someone's gonna think I'm raping somebody. I was like, even if like a UPS man comes to the door right now, I'm going to jail. It was just like all this screaming. I was like, oh, and I was like alone, but I like lowered it.
That actually happened to a friend of mine, and by a friend of mine, I mean this guy. I had it turned up way too loud, and the person who lived above me called the cops, and the cops showed up at my door, and it was not. Yeah, because they were like, can we just come in and make sure there's no distressed woman? And I was like, yes, please. I mean, there's on the TV right now.
Yeah, because it's a lot of scenes without dialogue except for a woman screaming and guys yelling at her. So it's like definitely audibly frightening. The one thing I can say also about going back to improving on the original is our Matthew is intense and dark and just insanely good. And I think that's, I mean, anyone who's seen the movie, anyone who's seen the original movie can see how that part can definitely be improved on. You know, the old Matthew, yeah, I don't want to rape the girl, you know, you can't come, I can't come, get her away from me. And then, and now we have somebody who takes it to a very serious, dramatic, dark, twisted place that I think you guys are really going to enjoy.
Yeah. Do the impression.
Yeah, do it.
I don't want to do the impression of the guy that rapes the girl.
Say Anchor Bay in that.
Anchor Bay.
Just having flashbacks of that guy from Roger Rabbit. I think that scene that's really amazing that I'm excited to see how you guys did is, they take her sexuality away from her, and she completely turns that on and uses it as a weapon in almost every single kind of revenge. And I think that scene's really amazing, especially with Matthew, because you're not quite sure what's going on, and then in the original one she just hoists him up. So I think that was like you guys want my opinion, that was the scene that was just like, man.
And they actually really choked him, you know, because the rig didn't work when they did it, and they didn't know. They thought he was just acting.
Yeah.
And they cut, and he was turning blue. The actor in the original.
Oh my God, get me down. I don't want to suffocate. Yes, sir.
You guys were talking about wanting to show the realism of this and how visceral it is. Was when you finished filming from a day, did it take a while to come down from that, or was there ever a point during the filming where the actors or you had to say, all right, I need to stop for a second, I need to step back, this is getting too much? Anchorman.
It's actually, when we were filming this version, there's not everything happens all you know, within one sequence. It does, you know, there's much more building up to the actual rape scenes in this film, so there's also that building of tension that, guys, you could see in that scene. That's actually about a 15-minute scene. It goes on for quite a while. When we were filming the first rape scene, during the first take, I almost, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. I almost just yelled cut to run in and grab her because it was so intense. I was sitting next to the camera and I had to hold my hand over my mouth so I didn't yell cut because I wanted to jump in and grab her. And I think every single time we cut doing any one of those scenes, each one of these guys just immediately got up and wandered off in their own direction. And there was a lot of this going on, you know, off back behind the set. And it was very, very hard, you know, and when you finish the day, you know, you go home and you talk to your family and you do a little more work and then try and get some sleep, and it was pretty hard. It was pretty hard. I'll let Sarah talk about it because obviously, you know.
This question really hits home for me. It was very hard for me to let go. You know, after that scene that you saw the first clip, that goes on a little bit and it just keeps building and building. And I remember the first or second take we did of that, it just, I don't know, it was kind of an out-of-body experience for me. I couldn't control myself. Even after Stephen yelled cut, I was sobbing for maybe 10 minutes. I couldn't stop. And, you know, it was terrifying for me, but then as soon as it passed, I realized, wow, like, that was powerful, and I was elated. I was like, that must have been so great, because I feel like shit. And it happened again and again. You'll see, there, you know, there's so many scenes, and I can't tell you how many times it took me forever to pull out of it. But given that, at the end of the day, we all felt the need to just completely walk away from it, because we were staying in it all day long. So at nights we would try, and we had a buffet down at the lobby of our hotel in Homewood Suites. So we would all go and just, like, you know, have a glass of wine and dinner and just like, oh, just brush it off. But yeah, I'll let somebody else talk about that.
Well, I just wanted to say, and I'm sure everybody up here will agree, that Sarah was just put through torture. I mean, just what she just said. And she's the most amazing trooper actor I've ever worked with in my life. Because she would get abused over and over in scenes, and, like, you know, I'd still feel nauseous, and she'd be like, all right, let's do it again. Let's go. I'm ready. Like, she was amazing, and, like, totally deserves a round.
Yeah, it was definitely hard to, like, let go, you know. Like I said, we were legitimately, like, high when we were doing these scenes. We were just like, oh my God. And there was no acting involved. We were just like, dude. And we'd go home at night and we'd be in the lobby of the hotel and we'd all be talking very casual about it. Oh, that scene when we're raping, and we'd have to look around. We'd be like, oh shit, realizing that people are looking at us like, oh, weird. But it was like casual to us, and we had to sort of joke about it to let it roll off, because it's like, what? Anything there?
I think, I mean, I don't think that there was any of us that didn't at some point shed a tear or have like a loss for words for what was happening in the scenes. I know there was many moments where we were turning to each other and being like, should we stop this? Like, what are we doing? You know, like, because it just felt so, as you said, visceral. Like it was organic, and you know, I mean, we had to go to that place in order to even accomplish these scenes. So it was extremely dark, and the come down was definitely hard. I mean, like when I said we were in the hot tub, it wasn't like Party Time USA. Like we were literally just sitting there, nursing our bruises and our muscles, going like, what did we do? You know, I still turned, I mean, there's an after effect. I still turn to myself like periodically, like once a week or so, and just, I'm like, what the hell did I do making that movie? You know, it's definitely one that my mother and grandmother will never see.
And also just, you know, one more note on that. Also, the way I like to work, especially with scenes like this, is, and it was very important to me to be able to do it, is like that, the clip that you saw from the first assault scene, and the scene is, it's an 11-page scene. We shot the entire 11 pages. It wasn't like, you know, okay, say it up to this line, then stop, then we're going to reset the camera. And these guys, because I wanted them to have that, you know, constant all the way through, and you know, so everything was always really, I hate to say the word organic, but organic and real. And we did that with the assault scenes, with the rape scenes, and to some extent, as much as we could with the torture scenes, until we got to points where the makeup effects and things had to come in, then we got our pieces. But we did that a lot on the Skunk.
One of the things about shooting in sequence is that it doesn't give you a chance to actually breathe as the performer either. Because we were shooting to keep the momentum and everything, but it would be like, okay, now you're doing this to her, now you're doing that to her. Okay, everybody take a 1-second break, we're coming back and we're going to do this. And it just kept building and building, and I know the days of the first assault that we were shooting, like a 3 or 4 day period, was just constant intensity. Like, I mean, it was really, truly exhausting. Yeah.
Anchor back. I just wanted to say, give Steven some credit here. It was really brilliant of him that in these really tough scenes, like, you know, if I was being tortured, he would recognize that I was going to have to go to a really, really dark place and really just bring all my energy to it. And he was smart enough to know, let's let her have her close up these first 2 takes, because like it's going to be really hard to get up the energy constantly in the whole thing. So, you know, he made sure that my most intense emotions were captured on those first 2 takes. Then we would move to the wide shots and make sure we covered everything. But I just thought, I mean, it's something simple like that that just makes a performer's performance shine. It's like, you know, you don't even think about the fact that it was all because of him, you know? So I appreciate that, Stephen.
You know, talking about the torture stuff, you know, we are this kind of current generation genre of horror films, the torture porn.
Yeah.
But this is a very realistic portrayal of her kind of vengeance and torture. How do you kind of escape that shadow with your film, not being like pigeonholed in that genre?
Well, I mean, I don't think you can. I mean, this is obviously going to be one of those films, until it's in the theaters and people go to see it, people are going to assume that this was probably done wrong, or that was probably done wrong, or this isn't going to look good, or that's not going to look good. So, you know, there's only so much we can do except express that, you know, like what Sarah said, it was extremely important to us. You know, we only have, you know, the fans' best interests in mind. We're not, you know, we didn't make this film because we think we're cool and we just want to make a film for us, you know. So, you know, and as far as the torture goes, yeah, I mean, what does separate this is, you know, it's not like Saw, where there's these, you know, devices that there isn't any way in the world that this woman in the middle of the woods could have come up with these things. It's all very raw and organic, and she used, you know, what she had to turn, you know, what these guys did to her, you know, back on them. So,
Not making a horror version of Home Alone here.
And also, something that I thought was really cool is, you know, in this modern era of horror films, so much stuff, so much effects is CGI, and we have like one plate in the whole movie.
We have, well, it's several plates broken
Right,
out.
right.
It's one sequence.
Right,
and
one
it's
sequence.
About, it's only a chunk of about.
So
30 seconds.
all the blood and guts were all practical, real on the camera, on your body effects, which is, yeah, amazing. Old school.
That was my first of many big battles with the producers, was insisting on that, because look, I think we're all tired of CG. It's just become too easy for people. I mean, do we really need to see any more shots that start on a close-up on somebody and end, up on the moon? So, and actually, the only reason we did this one sequence CG, and it'll all make sense when you see the film, is that on our budget and in our time, we couldn't do what was needed in the scene unless we used CG for that. That was the only way we could have physically done it, and the choice was made that it was important that part of the sequence stayed that way, because we think it's got great impact. So that's the only reason why we did it.
Oh, real quick. I wish we were doing this panel after you guys already saw this movie, because it's kind of hard sometimes for you guys to understand. But when you see what happens to me, it was all real. That is all I want to say. And if you could just keep that in mind, maybe you'll enjoy it a little bit more.
It'll also really be nice to see a film in the second dimension again, because I forgot what that was like. I mean, I forgot.
I Spit on Your Grave 3D.
Spit on your grave 3D. Don't cheer for that. Someone escort this man out. Let's kick it back to the crowd. I'm sure you guys have questions.
Yeah, sorry.
Where was the film? Or the location?
Where was it filmed?
It was shot in Shreveport, Louisiana. Yes, very realistic.
You hold it all. Okay. Yes, sir.
Is there a moment of clarity, after Sarah, who's going to be playing the main character, after the innocence is lost, she has that long, drawn-out, moment of clarity where she's walking through the woods, and it's just all innocence is lost. Do you grab that as
Very, very, very much so. That's one of the sequences that I insisted on, being as close to the original as possible, including one of the shots of her just stumbling away through the woods is probably about 45 seconds long, and she starts in a close-up and she ends that big in frame just walking through the woods. So it was very important to me, because that's exactly what you said. It's gone at that point. She's, her innocence is completely gone, and it's for me, whether it's a horror film or whatever it is, that's a very dramatic moment that it's okay to have drama in a horror film sometimes, and it was really important, so.
I have a question. You will never have a more receptive crowd than you have right here. Are you the least bit concerned about what the rest of the world is going to think about I Spit on Your Grave? Especially considering how the people involved in the original film, how their careers went forward.
Yeah. Well, I think, as far as, for the most part, Camille Keaton continued a little bit of an acting career. I think a lot of that was choice. The other guys weren't even actors really to begin with. So
talking about socially.
Yeah. No. I mean.
Basically said that those people should be.
Well, and he also felt that the original was very exploitive. I don't feel like we're exploitive. I think it's very realistic the way it happens in this movie, and it's very upsetting, and it is very dramatic. As opposed to, and I think that's the difference between the two. And I think, as a filmmaker, you're always concerned, but I think because of the way this film came out, with those dramatic underlining elements to it, it's not just a horror film, and it doesn't feel exploitive at all.
I said bring it on. Bring it on. You know what I mean? The more controversial, the better. The more up in arms people are, the better. If they're talking, then we did our jobs right. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think after I did Mean Girls, I had people, thank you. Angry Man. No. I had people coming up to me on the street, wanting to hug and kiss me, thinking I was their best friend. So if I have a few people running away from me, it might actually be kind of nice.
Also, one addition to that note. There's not a whole lot of difference between this film and the original Straw Dogs, and everybody looked at that movie as a very disturbing, dramatic film. And and I think part of the problem with the general public is that they put the word horror in the basket with exploitive, and it's a very misunderstood genre to the general public that doesn't get it. So, I look at this film as an opportunity for people outside of the genre to also realize, what the possibilities are with the horror genre.
Yes, sir.
Any cameos from original cast members?
Cameos. No. Although the original director was an executive producer, he mentioned that he had a lot of influence on it.
He was there.
Yes.
I was just curious, is this going to get a wide release?
The question was about the release. Agrabah.
Nothing's been determined. That is the plan. I've said this a lot the last couple months. It's all in the hands of the MPAA, so we'll see what happens.
But you guys want to see that, right? Wow.
I think the first director of the original film, he had experienced something. I think he had found a girl that actually
Yeah, he did. In New York City, a girl came running out of Central Park right in front of his car, and she had been raped.
Did you have any kind of instance that happened that you could kind of relate to?
That's how I got cast.
Yeah, I had.
You were raped?
I had a girlfriend when I was younger who was raped. So when we were together. So yes.
Moving on.
I have a double question. Was there any point in there where you guys thought this is too much, that we're going too far? And likewise, is there anything that you wish you could have done that you weren't able to do?
The question was there ever a point where they felt like they were going too far, and then on the reverse, was there anything that they didn't really get to?
I'll be quick so you guys can talk. No, I never felt like we were going too far because I felt, again, with trying to make it very, very realistic, I never felt that we were doing that. And then when it came to the torture sequences, I don't think you can go too far with that stuff, especially for the fans, So, and the other half of that question, yes, I always feel that there's more that I could have done, but it's a very big misconception that directors get to do whatever they want creatively, and they don't, and we have to fight a lot of battles constantly all the time, and you lose a lot of them to a lot of other people that sit in offices and make choices on films that they had no emotional input into, and didn't spend 9 months of their lives not being able to sleep shooting these scenes and things like that. So no to the first one and yes to the second one.
Actually, on the contrary, the longer I was there, the longer I was shooting, I kept coming up to Stephen. Hey, I think we should do another shot here, and we should do another shot. And, my representation was really wary and wanted to protect me as far as things like the nudity goes and all that kind of stuff. But I knew that I couldn't back down from the original. I want to definitely have the respect of everyone who's a fan of the original. So I kept coming up to Stephen, hey, maybe we should have, I could do like a back shot at this place, and I could, how about here? Maybe one from the side. And he's like, okay. We did everything. We went so far to so many places, but it was like a good thing. It was like we wanted to go all the way, and hopefully you get to see a lot of that stuff doesn't get cut out. We'll see. We don't even know where it's going to go. So.
And if it does, hopefully director's cut, right?
There will absolutely be an unrated unrated. I honestly, deep down, I hope that whoever our picked screener is at the MPAA, that they get the film and they're not, whatever, if someone's having a bad week at home or something like that and doesn't take it out on our film, because that's kind of how it happens. It's a pretty depressing process. I recommend anyone to watch the documentary. This film is not yet rated. It's incredibly depressing, and it gives you an idea as to why, the people that want to see the movies very rarely get to see what they, should be able to see. So, I hope what we're considering the unrated version goes to theaters, but we'll see.
you guys have anything to add to that? Anchor Bay?
Yeah.
I mean, I just think what Chad touched on earlier, the one thing that may have gone a little too far was off screen, and it was the fact that we're so desensitized to all of the terms that deal with the brutalization, you know, talking about the rape. And I mean, it's been like, we don't even realize it because we're talking about work, you know? Remember the part where I mean, I didn't even want to get into it, but like it was...
Yeah, at Walmart.
Yeah, like just at Walmart, yeah, just being like, oh, you know what we should do tomorrow? When we've got her, like, it was just like... and it ends up becoming sort of alarming because you catch yourself and you're like, I really need to cut this out. Like, because I'm going to get home and have all these words in my vocabulary.
Yes, sir.
I guess along those lines, and perhaps following up that other gentleman, do you feel like you reached a point in this movie where you're like, okay, I got this intensity that is amazing, and do you ever want to go there again?
Yeah.
Is this something that's like, you know, I need to...
As actors, it was the most satisfying job that we've all ever had. It was very cathartic, and it made the hairs on the back of our necks stand up. So it was a privilege to go there.
Yeah, I mean, it was, Chad said it earlier, there was hardly any acting involved, you know, other than just...
Accents.
You know, yeah, accents and just letting yourself go and being in the moment, in that dark place. Yeah, I would, you know. And also, touching on what the other gentleman asked about, like, going too far, also I don't feel like any of this went too far, and I've been doing this a long time, and I don't want to sound pretentious, but I've come to a point in my career where, of course, I would love this to get a huge release, and for it to be well received, and for it to be seen in theaters all over the world. But nowadays, it's really just about the work, and to be given the opportunity and the privilege to be this disgusting was like, you know, it's such a dichotomy. Be so dark and disgusting, and after that wave sort of passes, like Sarah was talking about, it's this total actor's elation. You know, like that's the stuff that we dream of, and we rarely get the opportunity to even taste. And so to like have that for a month, it was amazing. I agree with Chad. It was the best acting job I've ever had.
Super multi-level, you know, just of emotions, like layered upon emotions. You know, I mean, we've all discussed this like in private, but like you get an opportunity to do a film and you get to play a couple emotions. You know, you're breaking up with your girlfriends. You're playing like or the best friend, and you're playing like caring and happy and whatever. Like, but like in this one, there's just just 32 emotions at once that you're playing. You know, from lust to fear to peer pressure to nausea to like to anger to frustration. Like there's so many levels that it was extremely challenging and consequently rewarding.
So could you have something to add to that?
I'll say that when we came back from that first assault scene and we got back into the hotel, we weren't the only ones that were sitting there like, oh my gosh, you guys, this is amazing. Like, didn't that feel so good? Like, the sound guys were sitting there and they were like, you guys, seriously? That was amazing. Like, really amazing. Like, I almost thought he was making fun of me because he was like so sincere about it, like really intense. But like, it was just a great feeling.
I'm gonna bring it home with the last question. The thing that we've all kind of been talking about this whole time is you can't really control how your audience really is going to take it. I mean, you can put your art out there, but as actors and directors, some people are going to think it's glorifying it. Some people are going to think that it's, not far enough. Some people are going to go, well, it's right that, that she's torturing them, but, some people aren't going to see eye for an eye. People are going to take all different kinds of things. So, it's not often that you get to talk directly to your audience before the film comes out. So just personally, what would you guys like to impart and people to walk away with?
I mean, just go away knowing that, I personally, and I know that these guys did, I mean, I was in the process, for a long time before they was, but we just did I never did not have your best interests in mind in this film with everything I did. There was nothing about, here's how I see this film, and this is how it should look, and this is what it should do. It was always, you know, the line to ride on this film is there's a lot of original fans, and now, you know, because Anchor Bay, I got an Anchor Bay and Cinetel, you know, decided to make this remake, there's going to be a new wave of fans that are going to be expecting something totally different. So to ride that line to try to address all of that was exhausting, but it was always my complete focus all the time.
I just want to thank you all for taking an interest in our film, and I really sincerely hope that you all go see it with an open mind and just enjoy. Thank you very much for coming here today, guys.
Yeah, I feel sort of lucky. I feel like I'm in this bubble of, like I said earlier, I didn't even know what I was making when I first read the script. So I didn't have any sort of attachment to the old versus the new. And I hope that you guys can have the same experience that I had when I first read the script, with fresh eyes and not knowing anything about the story. And all the social commentary, like, I'll leave that up to you guys at coffee after the meeting, after the movie, but whatever. But I just hope that you guys, it's a movie, you know? And I think we made a really good movie. And I hope that you guys really enjoy it and, like, go to the movie and have a good time and... Well, you know, movies are a good time, you know? I mean, and horror movies especially, they touch something inside of us. We don't know why we like watching people get hurt, blown up, and stabbed, and gouged. But we all love it, you know, even normal people, you know? And yeah, I would just have a good time, and, you know, don't take the movie too seriously. I don't know. I'm trying not to take myself too seriously, so thanks a lot.
I just want to say thank you for coming here and welcoming us and being open to our movie and to us and to being so kind. And we really hope you enjoy it, because we feel the same that you do. We want it to be kick-ass as well, so thank you.
I was like a little overzealous, like grabbing the mic for him because this thing came to mind. As much as like a lot of you, the people that I've met, you guys have all been wonderful. There's a lot of really awesome indie bloggers out here that love to like support independent to low budget horror filmmaking. But there's a lot of mad haters out there too. And when we're up here talking about it's amazing and it's wonderful and it's the sickest thing ever, a lot of us are referring to our experiences on the film as artists and what it was for us to make this, and we hope that you have that same experience. You know, we're not up here claiming that this is the greatest movie ever, although I personally think it's badass. But thank you for the ones that do post good things and positive things.
Yeah, I did want to say
that
there's, you know, both with blogging and some actual websites themselves, there's a lot of anger and misinformation being put out there. And you guys have all been here and you've seen some things, and you can respond to those and say, no, I met these guys, they really, they're really concerned for us.
Because this isn't a $60 million Hollywood saturated remake. You know, this is us, bare bones, you know, like doing what we can with what we got, and still trying to give you guys the product that we know that the fans want. And we hope that you guys walk away appreciating that and enjoy it. So, thank you so much.
So after all that, are you guys ready to actually see this trailer? See what we're going to talk about? All right, well, again, give these guys a round of applause for coming and